You're welcome to the OG show, and this time around we are at Nourish Lab. You can see I've got my smoothie in front of me. You can call Nourish Lab, that's the East Legon branch, on 0242 101 461. It's Egypt 2019, it's the AFCON Cup of Nations. We are coming to talk about what happens before the players go onto the pitch and play. This time we are going beyond the discussion of football matches, beyond the discussion of post-match press conferences. We are going beyond the pyramids.
50 years I was on the road, but I'm sitting on the road. 50 years I was on the road, but I'm sitting on the road. 50 years I was on the road, but I'm sitting on the road. 50 years I was on the road, but I'm sitting on the road.
Into the one wame, many me boys and pem wade. As I day on top of my game, keeping the one hand. Into the one wame, many me boys and pem wade. As I day on top of my game, keep one hand. Don't tell me there's only Abba. Yeah. Don't tell me there's only Abba.
So, to dissect all the issues that have happened and transpired before the tournament kickstarts, I'm here with my man, Sammy Ziga. How are you doing?
I'm good, terrific.
Yeah. How have you been feeling so far gearing towards the AFCON Cup of Nations?
Of course, the feeling is real, especially knowing that there are going to be 24 teams competing for one title for the first time on the continent. I mean, it promises a lot, and I'm braced up for it. All the action, the drama, the shenanigans, everything.
Speaking of drama, of course, Ghana, for one, is not going into the AFCON Cup of Nations without any drama. We did speak about the captaincy issue with the presidency interspersing going into this tournament. But this time around, there's a new dramatic incident that's happened. It's Warris. He has been dropped from the squad. What's your take on what just happened with Warris?
Yeah, of course. No player will be happy being dropped from a major tournament like this, and with Warris per se, I think that this is about the third time he's been dropped from the African Nations Cup squad. And 2015 he was hit with a blow. Avangani didn't take him. 2017 same thing happened to him, and 2019 fast forward where he thought he racked up the numbers and felt he could have a crack at the competition, and only to be given shown the exit. So it's just fair for a player to feel bad about his omission in the squad. It's normal, it can happen to any other player, but I think that the way things were blown out of proportion is what we have to lament about.
What do you feel was blown out of proportion?
With the media, there were a lot of reports that he locked himself up in the room and he felt disrespected, that he actually heard of his dropping on the internet and all that, but nobody has confirmed that this was actually transpired in Dubai.
He actually wept.
Yeah, it's normal. It's normal for a player to weep. This is not the first time a player is being dropped. Like Kingston experienced similar fate in 2010, where he wasn't happy with Malik Banor for dropping him. He felt he deserved a place in the squad. And you could look back again, 2006, Baba Amando also made certain allegations that he felt that he was supposed to be in the team. So this is not the first time. It's not going to be the last time a player will feel peeved about not being included in a team. But if you want my personal view on Warris, I think that he had to be at the AFCON, especially looking at how he had a very good season, a quite decent season with Nantes in the League 1. I think that.
But let's look at Warris' season in perspective. He played 25 games. He scored 5 goals. That was it for Warris. That's the good season everybody's talking about.
But Kwaku, when you draw a comparison between the strikers that have been called up, there's Owusu, plays for Salamanca. There's Jordan Ayew, who scored just 1 goal for Crystal Palace in the English Premier League. There's Asamoah Gyan, who picked up the form getting to the latter part of the Turkish Super League. And there is a certain Kwabno, I've mentioned his name already. And Caleb Kuban, who actually got the nod to play in the AFCON as per what he did in the last qualifier against Kenya and then Mauritania in the friendly game. So I think that Warris has a case, and like I said earlier on, he should be peeved. He should be angry.
But when it comes to the club stats, I believe Ekuban is the one who has highest. He has 8 goals in the Turkish Super League. But of course, looking at what happened with regards to the strikers that were picked, who will you drop for Warris?
It's interesting, quite controversial, but I think that I would sacrifice Owusu.
Okay.
He's an under 23 striker, and he's not got that experience yet at tournaments. But one could also argue with the fact that you need young players to gather the experience and exposure at such big stages. But to exclude him, to exclude Majid Warris and for Kwabno, so I think that we are being a little bit unfair to Majid Warris, because we know what he can do. He's got pace, he's got the power, and could surprise defenders. He can outspace people, defenders, and especially going into a tournament where we will need focal players who can lead the lines, who have the pace, who have the strength. Supposing we want to go for one top, Jan doesn't have the legs these days to run up their players. Jordan Ayew, as we can see, loves to play wide. His best games for the Black Stars has been he playing on the left or on the wings, cutting through and trying to score. So we need a focal striker. Okay. And I think Warris best suited. Owusu is another fantastic player. I'm not taking that away from him, but I think that he's a player who loves to handle the ball more. Okay. He's not good at with his back facing the goalpost. Okay. We need players who will be able to deal with certain kind of situations at big tournaments like this, and I think that Warris should have been there.
But there's this argument they make. That's our final stance on Warris, that he doesn't perform when he plays for the Ghana Black Stars.
I think it's relative. He doesn't perform well when he plays for the Black Stars. Means that we will need him to score more goals. But how many games has he played for the Black Stars? And we saw him at early stages with the Black Stars. He proved himself, just as Caleb Kuban did. He scored in Kumasi. He won the hearts of all the fans. I think that luck has not been on his side. And if we want to look back, we then go back and look at Asamoah's numbers when he was introduced to the national team. He was given time, all the luxury in the world to creep into this team. Why don't you give Warris that crack as well?
Okay, so your take is that Warris should have been included in the squad, and it's quite disappointing.
Exactly my point.
He couldn't make it to Egypt. But looking at the other players around Africa who do not make it, I'll mention the players and then we will speak to them at a time. So we'll start with Kelechi Iheanacho. We'll move on to Adebayo, that's Emmanuel Shea Adebayo, Vincent Abubakar, and that of Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. These are quite interesting names, and in these four names we have two who will miss the tournament due to the fact that they could not qualify, and we have another two who were dropped because of injury, and as to the coach also preferring them being dropped. So let's start with the Nigerian brother, Kelechi Iheanacho. Would you have wanted to see him there, or you think he doesn't deserve to be in the Egypt AFCON 2019?
Well, wait, Kelechi Iheanacho, this is a player who burst onto the scene in 2013 with the FIFA World Cup, and many thought that he had a lot of prospects, and fast forward, Man City snapped him up, and thinking that they could make the best out of one of the young best players in Africa. But fortunately, he landed himself at Leicester City at the end, and his exclusion is a testament that when you're not racking up the numbers, don't expect to be at a major tournament. And that's what Ghana should even learn from. General made it clear, I've got very good forwards in my team, and I can drop Kelechi Iheanacho. It tells you my template, my plan, what I have for the AFCON tournament. And for Kelechi, if we were to be Ghana, we would have taken Kelechi to the AFCON. Because of the team he plays for. He plays in the English Premier League and blah blah. Kelechi's case is similar to Jordan Ayew's case. He's not got the numbers, but the fact that he plays in the Premier League, it means he should be there. No, that shouldn't be the case. You look at Samuel Chukwuekweze for Villarreal, fantastic player. He and then Santi Cazorla were the brightest spots in this Villarreal team, and he actually ignored the under-20 team, the Nigerian under-20 team, for a tournament like this. That tells you the kind of intention he's got. And I must give credit to General, the German coach, for this kind of innovation.
But something interesting on Kelechi Iheanacho, just like Jordan Ayew, but I think for him, Kelechi Iheanacho has 30 games for Leicester City.
He's got numbers
and scored 1 goal in those 30 games. How on earth can you play 30 matches as a striker and score just 1 goal? I mean,
his numbers are similar to Jordan Ayew's numbers, and they've got no business at a major tournament. But you can't compare Nigeria to Ghana. Nigeria have a lot of attacking options up front. There's Samuel Chukwuekweze, there's Alexi Iwobi for Arsenal. these are players who can grind their goals as well. In as much as they are wide wingers or they can be termed as attacking midfielders, they can get you, they can fetch you goals. So it tells you the balance, the kind of difference between Ghana and Nigeria. But for Kelechi, it's unfortunate for him because growing up under 17 World Cup, went to the World Cup with Nigeria, Russia last year, and we would have thought that he would make it for the AFCON. But it's unfortunate he was omitted from the squad, and I think that it's one of those fair points from Gennaro Rowe. I give him props up for that.
So we move on to a very huge name. I'll say a gigantic name on the African continent. That is Emmanuel Shea Adebayo. His side were not able to qualify for the AFCON. They lost out to Benin. That is in their last qualifiers. And then, do you believe his exclusion from the African Cup of Nations is a huge blow for African football?
Of course, who wouldn't want to see Emmanuel Shea Adebayo at the AFCON? He's a player. He's full of life. He expresses himself on the pitch. He plays good football. The few times he's played the AFCON for Togo, we've seen the kind of things he brought to the fore. And you should watch that press conference. No, not a press conference, but you should watch that incident in the dressing room after the game against Benin, where he spoke to the players. I think it was in French. Yeah. Viewers, you should get that video and then watch.
I think in the translation of what he said, he was talking to them as to how nobody on the day was trying to help out because he scored the goal for Togo, but although they still lost to Benin, it was a 2-1 scoreline.
You know, what Adebayo should understand is that the players that actually made him Adebayo, that made him the top scorer in the build up to the 2006 FIFA World Cup, are no longer there. I could count off a certain Eric Akoto and then the like, Dosevi and Co, the guys who actually helped the team. They played equally as a team. But now, I mean, he's past his pomp. He's not got the legs any longer. He's thriving basically on experience, and you didn't expect to blend well with this crop of players or this generation. It's a kind of difficult thing to do. So you should just understand them. These are youngsters, rookies, who are trying to make it for themselves as far as African football is concerned. And it's very unfortunate that he just couldn't make it to the AFCON. And it's one of those things. Once upon a time, there will be hiccups in your career as a footballer. But for Adebayo, I feel sorry for him because this would have been his last AFCON, just as Asamoah Gyan and the like. So very unfortunate for him.
But you have to enjoy his time with his girlfriend, former Big Brother winner, Dish Matthews. That's what you spend his summer doing. But
a holiday was
let me mention one name: Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang.
The English Premier League golden boot winner.
Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang.
A golden boot winner.
Yes.
There were 3 this time around: Salah, Mane, Aubameyang. It would have been nice to see Aubameyang joining them on the train in Egypt, but it's unfortunate that he couldn't help the Gabon team. He couldn't help the Gabon team make it to the competition. The last time they hosted it, I think they exited very early
in the group stage.
Very early in the competition, and he was actually the captain of the side.
Yes.
It's unfortunate some of these top class players don't really have the numbers in their national teams to help them or assist them, and there are days where it will make you feel that no, why can't some people also naturalize at times? But that's another aspect of it. But for Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, after having this kind of impressive season with Arsenal in the Premier League, one would have thought that he could come to the AFCON and then rub shoulders with Sadio Mane and then Mohamed Salah and then the like. It's quite lamenting that he couldn't make it. So one of the biggest omissions is Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang.
He's also the one the Gabonese fans don't want to see in Gabon. Remember, there's this quite interesting fun fact about Pierre Aubameyang. His father, that's Pierre-Francois Aubameyang, was appointed as coach of the national team without the knowledge of the man. The man was just sitting in the comfort of his house, and they just announced that Pierre-Francois Aubameyang has been appointed as a coach. And at the end, it was Daniel Cousin, that's a former Hull City player who was appointed to try and qualify them for the African Cup of Nations, and they tried to get him in. And there's one player who we'll be talking about in a few minutes time. That was Seydou Brahino. He was able to play in that game against Aubameyang and qualified Burundi to the African Cup of Nations. Quite interesting as to how African football goes. And we move on, and this time around Cameroon won the African Cup of Nations. They are the defending champions. And do you remember who scored that goal? The winning goal?
That's Vincent Abubakar.
Yes, and Abubakar is injured and cannot make the African Cup of Nations. How do you take that news? And do you believe Cameroon have a chance without Vincent Abubakar?
Of course, looking at what happened in 2017, you would always look at the team and say they have a chance. Even when they came without Eric Choupo-Moting, one of their top strikers in the competition. That's as far as Cameroonian football in recent time is concerned. They came without him and won it. And missing Vincent Abubakar will be a problem for them. It will be a general team problem, but it's up to them to put themselves together, put their heads above the water, and then see if they can defend their title. He would have been at the AFCON if not for the injury. So that tells you the kind of plans Clarence Seedorf had for this current Cameroonian team. It's very unfortunate that Choupo-Moting wouldn't have a very good strike partner in Vincent Abubakar. He plays for FC Porto. Yeah. Very, very robust striker. He can do everything. He's very skillful, strong. He's got power both in air and with his feet. And that tells you the kind of Arsenal Cameroon possess when it comes to rubbing shoulders with the rest of the African countries. And it would be a nice thing. It would have been nice to see him in the tournament. But
it's quite disappointing.
Yeah, and looking at the team that played in the last AFCON, it's just about 7 players who are making it to this competition. It's a total overhaul. Yeah, it could be very interesting for Cameroon. But well, they have a manager who has seen it all in European football, but same cannot be said when it comes to the African continent.
They actually have 2. They have that of Clarence Seedorf and that of Kluivert.
Yeah, these are very top players. We watched them in the 1998 FIFA World Cup with the Netherlands, and these are coaches who have a particular posture, their demeanor. When you see them, they've been there, they've done that. They've been there, done that experience could just be relayed to the players, this current couple of players. That look, we are top stars. We've made it in our respective countries. We've made it wherever we found ourselves. Why can't you make it? A motivation enough. Yeah. You're able to derive that intrinsic motivation from the players. And I feel that Kluivert Seedorf combination could quite work well for Cameroon. Looking at what Hugo Broos did with them in 2017.
Interesting bit about Cameroon is that the fact that Seedorf and Kluivert will come out with their squad. And before they realize some names are being included into the professional squad.
You know, that's the beauty of African football. There are a lot of interesting things. We try to always press the red button anytime it comes to call us into the national team, and it's quite interesting. And I wouldn't be surprised if same thing happens with other African countries, but yet they are not made loud. How can a coach make his squad and then it comes out and then there are certain inclusions and omissions? I mean, who does that? it's very funny and interesting, and that tells you the kind of things that goes on when it comes to football administration on the continent.
Speaking about new players with regards to the Cameroon squad and the fact that they are now trying to gel, we are going to zoom down into players that are making their debut as far as the African Cup of Nations is concerned. There's one player in the Ghanaian camp is being talked about. Even Kwabena Yeboah feels that he will be a revelation for the Ghana Black Stars. That is someone who plays for Kukariki. How do you see that player, and do you believe indeed he can make an impact when it comes to the Ghana Black Stars?
Well, this is a player I've seen less of. I've not seen him. I've not watched him play before, even though I've tried watching his video clips to see what he brings to the fore as far as this team is concerned. He's one of the players that never participated in the qualifiers, and it was a bit of a surprise when Coach Kwesi Appiah included him in the squad. And it's very interesting how the senior top-most journalists in Dubai are reporting on this player's exploits in the team. Well, it makes us expect a lot from him. Yeah. And for me, I have just one problem as to whether Coach James Kwesi Appiah would have the guts to start him or even give him a crack when the going gets tough in the competition. We've seen players being called up and they don't even make an appearance. They don't even play. So it's one thing talking about what he brings to the fore, what his exploits are. I'm told he's nimble-footed, he's deft-footed, a player who can take on a lot of defense. And that's the kind of player we need aside Christian Achu and Jordan Ayew. We don't really have players who have that kind of technical ability. So maybe Samuel Owusu's inclusion could just satisfy that need in this team. But personally, I've not watched him play. I'm actually relishing watching him play at the AFCON.
So you speak about technical ability, speak about players who are nimble-footed. There's one player who's very nimble-footed and he has gained this level of popularity with the just ended UEFA Champions League from Ajax Amsterdam. He had a very great tournament and he was able to help the team get into the semi-final. I'm talking about Hakim Ziyech. This player, a lot of people don't know something about this player. This player has had a beef with Hervé Renard before. He took a hiatus from the team and now he's been able to sort things out with Hervé Renard and he's been put back into the squad. He once swore that if Hervé Renard was still manager of the Moroccan squad, he would never play for Morocco again, and that has been put out of the water and he's now back into the squad. Are you looking forward to Hakim Ziyech perform for Morocco?
Hakim Ziyech, a very enterprising player. A delight to watch. I watched him in the UEFA Champions League.
For a player like Hakim Ziyech, I think that his inclusion in the Moroccan national team would be a big boost for Hervé Renard and his charges, you know. On the back of having a fantastic season with Ajax in the Champions League and Belgium, it brings a lot on board, a lot to be brought to the fore. Looking at the kind of exposure and experience you bring to this team. For some time, it's been Malik Banor leading the charges for the Moroccan team, but I think that now he gets to have someone who also knows it all on the European scene, someone who just can bring his experience to the fore for this team. I think that he's one of the fantastic performers at the tournament. Should Morocco have a good tournament in general?
One other chap who would be at the 2019 AFCON is former England prospect Saidou Brahino. This time round, he has been able to qualify to the African Cup of Nations with his native country, Burundi.
We talk about Sadio Brahino, who played for Burundi, a player who was almost touted as the next big thing in English football as far as striking is concerned. I remember he had a very, very good goal-scoring streak with West Brom, and a lot of teams were chasing him. Spurs and I think had Man United were even chasing his signature. And it's very sad to see him end up this way. But hey, look, it's not over. He gets the chance to play for another African team or place in a top tournament like the African Cup of Nations. This could be just another opportunity for him to just break through into the mainstream for our football space. I think he's still in Stoke City or something, and he might even get a Premier League berth if he performs well with Burundi, which I think chances are quite slim, because Burundi are actually dark horses in this tournament, this competition. Nobody touts them, nobody tips them for greater heights in the tournament, but it can take a certain motivation, and Brahino could be that factor in the team. He has been in the European scene for some time, and coming back home to his motherland, that could be well placed for him and an entire Burundi team. So I think that's good and that's fair for Sadio Brahino. Yeah.
Well, that's it for the first episode of Beyond the Pyramid. Many thanks to you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, as well as subscribe to the Wingside Studios YouTube page, as well as also like and comment under the Facebook post as well. This was Kwaku Anno-Kumi and I was here with
Ziga.
This video was shot from the East Legon branch of Norwich Lab, and you can call Norwich Lab on
0242 101 461.
Norwich Lab, we're good eating. It's what that.
Sitting on the road. 50 years I was down the road. But I'm sitting on the road. 50 years I was down the road.
Yeah.
But I'm sitting on the road.
Into the one me. Me boys can pay more. As I day on top of my game. Keeping the one hand.